Should a dust extractor be in every body shop? We find out in just a moment. I'm Tim Johnson. You're watching Shop Tool Reviews. This is the Milwaukee 8960 8-gallon dust extractor. Well, it's their only dust extractor. Well, their only full-size dust extractor. They've got a few cordless models, but this is their full-size corded dust extractor. Again, it's the model 8960-20. Now, what this was made for is to hook power tools to it, specifically for drilling, grinding, cutting concrete, to catch that silica dust that's in the air, that silica particulate that we know is very harmful to your lungs and to your internal organs. Your body typically never gets rid of it. So that's why you started seeing these dust extractors show up, to catch a lot of that particulate in the air or that's coming off the drill bits, cutting wheels, grinding wheels, and so forth. Now, you started also seeing this in woodworking shops and things like that. And there's various other dust extractors, not just like this. But anyway, that's the idea of dust extraction, is kind of what the name implies, extracting the dust out of the air so that you're not breathing it. Now, if there's one thing I know, that walking in and out of most body shops, you see layers of dust. When you're sanding BONDO, when you're sanding primer, those are the biggest ones. I mean, that stuff just flies everywhere, it floats everywhere, it coats everything. And you know that you're breathing it. And even wearing a typical dust mask, which it's hard to find anybody even wearing those in a body shop, just be honest, that's just what it is. That stuff's getting in your lungs. If it's floating in the air, it's getting inside you, and it's just not good for you. Listen, I'm not Mr. Safety. I'm not that guy that preaches safety all the time. I think there's a balance. But when it comes to something like this, I think you need to take a look. So what we're going to do here, I'm going to walk through kind of the features of this dust extractor, and then we're actually going to use this. And you're going to see A-B. I mean, you're going to see the difference of what it's like to use it without it and what it's like to use it with it. And we'll see, is it worth using? Because quite frankly, it's not a cheap machine. But let's get to the features. We'll use it, and then we'll come back and wrap it up. This is the Milwaukee 8960, their dust extractor, and you'll see, basically you'll get the machine kind of as it looks right here. The only thing, well, these hooks will be inside it with just one Torx head screw, so those easily go on very quickly. And then this cord will just have a cable tie on it. But basically, let me show you inside real quick. So this is what you'll get inside the unit, is you'll get one fleece bag as well as one plastic bag. You'll get two basically hose adapters, which we'll show you those in one moment, and you'll see the hose there as well. The wheels will already be on the machine. Looks like probably 5-inch plastic wheels in the back, maybe 3-inch on the front. One nice thing is the casters on the front are, number one, they're rubber. Number two, they are locking. So you do get locking casters on the front. May help in, not sliding around when you don't want it to, what have you. But anyway, kind of a self-contained unit here, and you'll get it pretty much already put together other than those couple of hooks. Let me show you a couple of features here. Under here is your HEPA filter. Take these 4 screws out, and your HEPA filter's in there. You'll need to replace that from time to time, depending on how much filth you're getting into, if you will. If you run your fleece bag, if you'll run this fleece bag right here, which I highly recommend, you will not have to change that HEPA filter near as much, nor the primary filter. So again, paying, I think you can get 5 of these for $50, so they'll run you about $10 a piece. Highly recommend that, and I'll show you here in a moment as well. When you're changing this, it makes it really easy and it's not dirty whatsoever. Now, putting this together is really easy. It just basically sits down on top, and then you close the lock there, close the lock on this side, and you're done. One thing I really like to see on corded power tools is a place for the cord and a place for the hose. And one thing on this machine, right away you'll see, on the back side here, you have an elastic band. So you coil up your cord here, put the band through, flip it over, and you're done. So now your cord is nice and hung. And then on your hose, you can hook your hose up. And on the hooks that you installed right here, you've got a couple of different options. You can go underneath here and go around and go underneath over here and come back around and go on top if you want to. Or you can come back around and go underneath again. So you kind of get 2 rows to hook on the underside. And then you can come and underhook here. And then what I like to do is just fold this over, hook it there, and then I can quickly grab the end of my hose that's right here. So I love the ability to have that cord and that hose management built into the machine. Nothing's hanging, nothing's dangling. I don't have to put a cable tie on anything. Everything is self-contained right there. Of course, you know, the bags that we have, they would be in the machine. Now, even the hose adapters, so these 2 hose adapters come with it as well. They can easily, on these little indentions right here, stick right in there. And so now they have a place as well. They're not going to go anywhere. They're not just sitting there. They're actually pushed in and held in place there. Now, if we'll look here on the end of the hose, you'll see it's not just a regular hose end here, which we could do that. We could unscrew this and easily put our regular hose adapter on the end there. But you see it's got a quick release here. So this basically that'll hook to a lot of different attachments, clips in, so it actually locks in and you can quickly change that out if you need to. So again, go from different attachments, different accessories and those types of things very quickly. So that quick release is really nice. But again, if you need to take that off, you can just unscrew it and screw your other attachment on or whatever other accessory that you want to hook up. Now let's look at the primary filter and how we get to that. So go ahead and unhook this. Get our hose out of the way. Unhook our power cord, lay that down, and right here in the back, here's a latch. Flip that, lift it up, and there's our primary filter right there. So there's our primary pleated filter. We can get to it, we can clean it out. We do not have to open up the machine whatsoever. We can access it right there and clean that out, change it out, do whatever we need to. But again, to keep this from getting dirty, if you'll run a fleece bag, you won't have to worry about that near as much. Again, close it down, lock it in, and within a few seconds, you're tidied back up and ready to go. Let me break in here just a second. If you don't mind, would you hit the like button if you like this video? If you didn't, hit the thumbs down, but let us know why in the comments. Also, if you liked it, if you wouldn't mind hitting the subscribe button and that bell notification, that's going to let you know when new videos are available. Back to the video. Now let's look at how we quickly install these bags. I'll go ahead and unhook my hose here so we have that out of the way. And again, we'll just pop out our locks here, take this off. That's another nice thing. Again, this is all nice and self-contained, nothing dangling. Of course, if I had my hose on there, it would be, no, the hose would be hooked here, so we wouldn't have to worry about that. But anyway, and it's built to sit down, so you can see there's no filter hanging down whatsoever. That housing will allow me to just sit it there on the ground without issue. So how we could use this, we could either A, just run a plastic bag. However, if we're running a plastic bag, and we're just going to take that and put it over the snout, just going to put it over the snout and slide it on like that, and then fold our bag over, and our bag just folds over the edge like that, and then the canister sits in here. Now, that's great. However, you see the open top. If you're doing a lot of dust collection, which we will be, that's what we'll be covering here in a moment, that's going to just be open to the atmosphere. So when you take this off, there'll be dust everywhere, as well as that means that all this area is still allowing your primary filter to get contaminated with all this dust right here. So what we recommend is either A, to use this bag and a fleece bag, or you really don't even have to use this bag, but you can just aid and clean up and take this fleece bag. And again, you see the rubber gasket right around here, and it just slides over the snout. Then you can lay that in, and you don't wrap that over the top because that's all self-contained. Put our unit over the top, lock it down, and then we're ready to go. So now we've got our fleece bag installed, we've got our plastic bag installed, and now we're ready to suck up anything we need to, and that's going to keep any contaminants from touching our filter. And fine particles is still going to get to that primary filter, and then the HEPA filter should stop that 99.9 whatever percent it's supposed to keep it from coming out to the atmosphere or you possibly breathing it. By the way, there's also a third adapter as well. I forgot to add, so there's a third adapter that comes with this as well. So I just wanted to show you real quick. I'll go ahead and pop this off again. I just wanted to show you that we'll remove this fleece bag, and then we'll go ahead and remove the plastic bag. And we'll just run the fleece. So you don't have to run the plastic bag, you don't have to run the fleece either, but you can run them independently of one another. And that fleece bag, again, is going to catch any of your fine particulate and at least block a lot of the bigger particulate from getting to that primary filter as well. Okay, so we have this plugged in now, and we're going to turn it on. I wanted to show you a couple of things. You see there's more than just an on-off option on this machine. So you have the ability to plug in a power tool, so an electric power tool that will actually call the machine on when the corded power tool comes on. However, if you're running a battery operated tool, or in our case we'll be running an air tool, you'll still have to turn it on manually to turn it on. But there's still other options than that. You have a speed control here where you can dial the actual suction or the speed of the machine, where you can dial it down if you really don't need that much suction. You can do so, as well as you see to the drill over here. We can turn it over, and that's going to again allow the tool to call on the machine. When it passes through current to this outlet, that's when it knows, hey, turn the machine on, and then it runs for a few more seconds after you let off the trigger. You can also, this off here on this side, as well as over here, what that's doing is sorry, I didn't mean to turn that on yet. So what that's doing is, I'm going to turn this on, and I'm just going to turn it to on, and we're going to allow it to run a few seconds. And you'll hear, after it runs a few seconds, you'll hear it dunk, dunk. And basically that's the auto filter cleaning mode. And if you turn it all the way down to here, it will turn that off. So if you know you're running, say, a fleece bag, and what that's made for is when you're drilling in concrete and you're sucking up silica dust, they want to make sure that none of that dust is able to escape. So you need to turn that auto mode off. So I'll show you here in 1 second. I'll turn it to on. We'll hear it try to clean itself after about 15 seconds of runtime. Okay, so it actually did it right out of the gate as soon as I turned it on. And you see the machine actually jump kind of on the rubber gasket itself because basically it's stopping and starting the suction and allowing that filter to kind of get knocked and knock any debris that may be stuck onto that filter. You know how you can take your filter out, bang it against something, and it'll get real dusty. That's basically what it's doing internally. Again, if you're running a fleece bag and that filter's not getting dirty, you can turn it all the way to this off mode that turns the machine on. But basically turns that auto cleaning off. In the same way over here in the power tool mode, you can do the same thing over here as well. So you can basically adjust how often you need it to do that self-cleaning, if at all. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Now, we've got a door here that's got several different, I would call, substrates on it. We've got rust, we've got BONDO, we've got paint, we've got some primer in between the BONDO and the paint. We've got metal surface. So all the things we deal with in a common body shop, and a lot of the stuff that gets very, very dusty. Primer, BONDO, rust, just tends to get airborne very, very quickly. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have to turn on the compressor so you'll hear it run for a little bit. But we're going to sand with just a 40 grit pad and the sander with no suction hooked to it. So we're going to run that, just a pneumatic sander, pneumatic DA sander. So we're going to run that a little bit. We're going to see it create some dust rather quickly. So we'll see it dust up quite a bit. Then we'll change over and sand the same thing with the suction, with the vacuum turned on, and see if we can see the difference in basically what it's capturing versus not using it at all. So it doesn't take long at all to see the residual that we're creating here from that little bit of sanding. You see right away what you see all the time, and that is, and especially when the wind came through here, it's just blowing all around, it's blowing all over the shop. But this is the same stuff that you're breathing. Now, I'm not Mr. Safety, I'm not the Safety 101 guy, but something like this that we can so easily change the dynamic of this, it makes a ton of sense. Let me turn on the suction and we'll see the difference here right away. So you see here I'm running an adapter on my hose, so I've got a little hose extension. Now we're pulling here through my pad. I'm going to go ahead and change the pad out. I'm going to go ahead and unhook this again, just to show you here. In fact, we can suck all this up through the pad. Don't throw your tools around like I do. So you saw that immediate difference, absolute immediate difference in unhooking the hose, hooking the hose back up, unhooking the hose, hooking the hose back up, and how much of a difference that was making. I mean, that was drastic. Even if we're not catching all of it, which looks like we're catching a lot of it, there's none around the floor, by the way. Of course, the wind was blowing a lot of that away, but you saw the tremendous difference where unhook the hose, particulate everywhere. Hook the hose back up, picks up all that particulate and residual. So that's the difference just having a dust extractor can make. This is not a real expensive sander. You know, AirCat makes this. You can get this with the central vac on it, so you can hook up your vac to it. So, you know, that extractor, yeah, it's going to cost you $500. But in this case, I think it's well worth it. Just imagine the dust you won't have in your shop, which every body shop's got that layer of dust and primer and Bondo dust everywhere. So tremendous difference in having that extractor hooked up. Also wanted to show you something else. So all that dust we were already picking up. I know we didn't do a ton, but still, you'll see here, typically you'd have a filter covered in dust. Look at there. There's nothing on it. Nothing on it whatsoever. That's the difference that fleece bag is going to make in using this machine, or really using any dust extractor. So again, highly recommend you running a fleece bag. Also, let's look at, pull the hose off here. Show you the inside here. So now all that dust, we're not dealing with the dust right here. If we were just running that plastic bag, we'd have all that dust lying in here. And so the nice thing about this is you can take this off. So you just slide it off the snout here. So there's that dust. You just saw it fly everywhere. And now all I have to do is take this tab here, close that up. So now I pretty much contain this bag. I put it in my trash bag. I throw it away. I'm done. And then I can put my new one back in, which I'm going to reuse this one because I haven't used it much. Make sure you slide that all the way on, all the way forward. So run the fleece bag. Don't cheap out. If you're going to pay the money for the dust extractor, pay the money for a fleece bag. Okay, I don't think I could have set up a better scenario to show the difference from A to B, if you will. The extremes of using a sander without a dust extractor, which typically you probably never even think of it. All that stuff you'd see falling on the ground and floating in the air and blowing away in the wind like we saw happening. But then when you turn the dust extractor on and you hook that hose up and you see how much particulate just disappears. I mean, literally you could use that as a vacuum almost and vacuum up the particulate that was already there, because you saw some of that blowing around when I initially went back to sanding with it, even though some of that particulate was laying on the top. I probably should have just went over with the vacuum and sucked it up. But anyway, again, and then when I went to unhooking the hose and hooking the hose back up, there's just no similarity whatsoever. One's creating tons of dust that's flying around, probably you're breathing as well. The other one is pretty much extracting all of that and containing it in this unit, as well as keeping it in a fleece bag. So let's look at two things. Number one, this is not a cheap machine. It's $500. It's not a shop vac. Don't think you can go buy your $70, $100 shop vac and do the same thing. You're not going to be able to. You know what it's like. You know when you vacuum up concrete dust, BONDO dust, whatever, with your shop vac, and you see all that dust blowing out the backside of it or blowing around the ring of it. It's because the filter won't catch it. It's the same thing with a tip. When you're using that shop vac to hook up to a tool, if you're not catching that somewhere, it's just floating back in the air. Maybe you're catching the big particles, that's not the important ones. So again, it's $500, but it's well worth it because you basically got 3-stage filtration. If you're using that fleece bag, that's your first layer of defense, if you will. It's catching all your big particulate, catching a lot of that dust. Then you have your primary filter. Then you have your HEPA filter that's catching that 99.9 or 99.1, whatever percent of the rest of that air that needs filtering, if you will. So you're literally not seeing any dust fly out of this thing. And again, if you're using that fleece bag, you don't have to clean your primary filter near as much, nor do you have to change out your HEPA filter. Now, looking at the fleece bags, they run about $50 for 5 of them, so you're paying about $10 a bag. However, you may be able to use that several weeks. So it's not a lot of money when you're looking at the function that it's providing. You may also be able to buy them in a bigger bulk as well and save a little bit of money. But regardless, I think it's well worth the $10 a bag to put that on there, that again, when you go to take it out, there's no dust flying around. You close up the hole, throw it away, put your new bag on there and start sanding again. It makes it very, very easy. Hey, check it out for yourself. It's the Milwaukee 8960-20. Also, keep track of us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. If you don't mind, hit that like and subscribe button if you like this video. Hey, if you didn't like the video, give us a thumbs down. Let us know in the comments why. Have a great day and keep smiling.